we have someone who can help you or your daughter if they are a corporate mom raising tweens or teens struggling with anxiety and depression in order to be burnout and thrive and not just survive through self-care. Now, this is what our guest, Sharon Birn, can do. Hi, Sharon. Glad you are in our scope today. Welcome.
Hello, Jody, and thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here and be on your podcast. This is like a dream come true.
I'm so excited too. I got to ask you, how are you living the energy of your legacy now?
Um, how I'm living in the energy of my legacy now is that I have recommitted, or about 2 years ago, I recommitted to prioritizing myself through self-care because I had really stopped taking care of myself at the level that I had been because I had been putting everybody else first, including my son and his needs. Because as I've shared, how I started on this journey was through helping my son with his anxiety and depression and all that I went through raising him. And I'm still raising him. He's 19 now, but school was an issue for him, school avoidance. So I poured all my energy into dealing with his issues and school and all of that. And I was on the back burner. And so that's how I'm living my legacy now, is that I realized I needed to take care of myself in order to take care of everybody else and fulfill my professional requirements, my mom requirements, my daughter requirements. Basically, if you don't take care of your car battery, your car is going to stop running, right?
Where was your
So,
wake up call? I'm sorry, where was your wake
yeah,
up call?
my wake up call came when I actually started to feel very low energy, mentally. And then I went for my annual physical, and my blood work confirmed on the inside what I had been feeling on the outside. And right then and there, I said, when I was a teenager, I committed to my health and well being because I was obese and I didn't want to live my genetic legacy. So my doctor told me I could do something about it. And I really turned my life around. So, and I promised myself I would never go back the other way. And I never went back fully the other way. Um, but I had gone back enough that when I got the blood work from my annual physical and knew how I felt psychologically, and I was just burnt out, I said, that's it, that's enough. And that's where I recommitted to myself and um, really decided that I wanted to bring this forward and help other women realize that they if they're experiencing burnout, we probably all do at some point, but self-care is not selfish. It is a necessity. And that's what that's what my aha moment was.
What is your self-care regimen?
My self-care regimen is that I get up every morning and I spend some time after I take care of my dog's needs, my son's needs, if he needs anything. At 19, he pretty much takes care of himself, but I take care of everybody else. And then I devote time to myself in the sense that I get quiet. I might journal, I might meditate, I might, I have written a vision statement for myself of where I want to go in the, now and in the future. So I get reacquainted with my vision and I try to live every day as if I'm the person already living the life in my vision. But that happens through the meditation, the journaling, and the exercising. I have committed to exercising at least, 5 to 7 days a week. So, but it's a minimum of 5 days a week. So yeah, and I try to get to sleep at a decent hour. Um, you know, so yeah, all of that, and of course, eating healthy. All of that is basically what my routine is. So it's basically that I committed to living a healthy lifestyle, and whatever that looks like for you, myself, or anybody else. And there are things that you can do, you know. I make sure that my time in the morning is my time. And it usually starts with my cup of decaf coffee. So yeah, that's my cue that it's
That's
the
your
time
cue,
to,
right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's your, yeah. And you were talking about that. And it's a really interesting point you brought up, your cue. And one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that comes back to me is that when I turn the engine over, the ignition, I turn
Mm-hmm.
life over to my higher power and I turn it over. And I even have a little chip that says, not a potato chip, but just a little
Right.
poker chip that says, turn it over. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing that you turn it over and we all have our own ways and we can be creative with how we find that.
Absolutely. One of the things that I've um, kind of grabbed onto recently is really trying to hear my intuition. And so it's something that we can all learn to do. We often um, tend to not pay attention to that small, quiet voice within us because we've been conditioned to pay attention more to our reasoning voice or our logical voice. We don't tend to get quiet and really, really listen to our intuition. So I'm trying to tap into that more. That's one of the reasons that I get quiet.
So, why did you decide to tap into yourself more?
I decided to tap into my intuition because I just felt like there were that we all have the answers inside us.
What are your
Um,
answers? What are your
yeah,
answers you found?
um, my answers that I found were that it's not selfish, really, to commit to myself. It starts with a commitment to myself in order for me to be the best version of myself that I can be. And to be the best mom, to be the best friend, to be the best daughter, employee, or actually I work for myself. So, but yeah, to be the best for my clients, and so it just, that's the answer, that's one of the answers that I found is that I can let go of the guilt that I've been kind of conditioned to have around taking care of myself. So, yeah.
What made you decide to let go of the guilt? What was that deciding factor?
Because it wasn't, honestly, it wasn't serving me. It was taking me away from the legacy I want to live. It was taking me away from the person that I wanted to be. It was taking me away from my authentic self, you know? And it's very important to me. My integrity is very important to me. And it's very important to me to be authentic and represent who I am. And that includes the not so, the faults, as we call them, as well as the attributes that I have. And so, that's really what I strive to do is to just, and I think letting go of the guilt um just it freed me. And it's a work in progress that, I don't think, I mean, I don't think any of us are ever completely rid of guilt or rid of past lessons that we might have been indoctrinated in. I think we always have them in the back of our mind and they can always come to the forefront. So it's not a matter of never having those thoughts or feelings. It's a matter of noticing those thoughts and feelings and being aware of what you're going to do with them, coming up with a new strategy for how you're going to handle them. So if I'm getting a twinge of guilt or a big gulp of guilt, I usually will sit for a moment and I'll start to breathe through my nose and out through my mouth slowly. And then I'll ask myself, how true is this? And I start to question. And I may even write the statement down. And then on the other side, on the left side of the page, write down the truth, you know, as it comes to me.
Yeah, what
So yeah,
proof do you have that lie that you tell yourself is true? Yeah, I think is that
yeah,
Carolyn, and it's a wonderful wonderful exercise. I know I've done it a
Yeah,
lot, and it really helps me heal me too. And I really so relate. And the way that you just realize that, this is it. If you just want to keep on with your productive, happy life, sometimes things are no longer effective that used to work for us for many years.
exactly. Exactly.
I hear
And
you.
so it's a matter of being able to, admit to yourself that it's not working, it's not serving you, and to not beat yourself up for it. You know, I have this, one of my mentors used to say to me, don't spank yourself, thank yourself for what you're realizing and move forward through that. So yeah, so that's what I try and do. Um, yeah, when I notice that I'm spanking myself, I quickly try and turn it to a thanking myself.
I like that. Don't spank yourself, thank yourself. That's
Mhm.
a just a really great thing to
Yeah,
keep in mind. And it's a great slogan. That's
yeah,
wonderful, really to plug
yeah.
in right away. I love that. Do you have any quotes that really mean a lot to you and help you out?
I do actually. So I mean, there's many, honestly, but I picked two for today, and one is from Wayne Gretzky, and it's that you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And the reason that that's so important to me and that resonates with me is because it reminds me, and it reminds me of what I want to remind people in my life, whether it's clients, friends, family. If you don't try something, you're never going to know what your potential is or what you're capable of, or you're never going to know what you might be able to change and maybe make that shot the next time. Like maybe you just have to change the position of your hands on the hockey stick, you know? But if you don't take the shot, you're never going to know. And what if you decide to take the shot and you actually make it, you know? So that's one of my favorites. And then I don't always say this one exactly right, but Henry Ford's quote where he says, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Hmm.
And the reason why that's so important to me is because our thoughts are very powerful and the words that we use to speak to ourselves are very powerful. And so whatever you think, you're going to have you're going to wherever you think is what you're going to produce, whether people want to believe that or not. It's the truth. So if I were to think that I can't do something, then I'm right, because I'm going to look for the evidence that's going to show me that I can't. So that's what's going to happen. I'm not going to be able to, because everything that I put the energy in around whatever that thing is, it's going to be the evidence that substantiates that I can't. But if I think I can, then I'm going to see all of the evidence that's going to show me that I can. So I'm going to be right either way. It's kind of like this. Do you ever notice how when you buy a car and you order your car or you order a bicycle and you pick the color red, and before that moment, you didn't you weren't aware, you weren't noticing how many other red cars or red bicycles people had. But all of a sudden, because you ordered a red bike or car, you're now noticing how many red cars or bikes are out there. So it's where your focus is that's going to matter most.
So, would you like to share what your offer is, what you can offer our listeners that are our baby boomer listeners?
Sure. So what I know that your listeners are 60 and over, most of them anyway. And what I want to offer um your listeners is that there's no prime. There's not just one prime of your life. Like people will often say, "Oh, he's in his 20s, she's in her 20s, she's in her prime, she's in her 30s, she's in her prime." And then when we start to get older, we start to feel like opportunities are over. And they're not. Not everybody, but a lot of people will start to fall into that. I'm at the tail end of my life, so and I want to encourage people to say, "No, I'm 60 and I'm starting a new chapter and that new chapter means that I have so much more to explore. I'm 70 and my life's not over. It's just a new stage is just beginning." And so what I can offer your listeners is if there are people out there who are listening who want help kind of digging in to creating a vision for themselves at whatever stage they're at or whatever goal they might have, or they don't know what goal to have, they're, kind of lost, we can work together to create what I call a vision, to create a life that you love, to create a life that you see yourself living at the end of your life, or not I don't want to say the end of your life, but at the latter stages of your life. I think it's just awesome for people to dig in, and just to live until their very last breath. So I think that that's what I can offer your listeners most, is just the opportunity to just live every day with purpose and drive and excitement, as opposed to, well, there's nothing left for me, because there's plenty left. It's never too late to start a dream. It's never too late if you had a dream that you didn't get to do yet, to do it, or to create a whole new dream for yourself. So that's what I can offer. And once a month, I offer, vision workshops where people can come, and they're virtual, to make it easier for people to come and, kind of start the process of designing a vision for themselves. And then we talk about some initial steps they can take. And then we talk about how further they can connect, maybe with myself, to deep dive into their vision and get there. So, yeah.
It's a great way to start. I know I've done a number of vision boards. They really are great. I've looked back on some of them, and I feel the energy of them, and just the energy. It may not be the exact thing I put in there. However, I could look at that as a point of saying, oh, look what I cut from.
A vision board is one way to, I'm sorry to interrupt you. A vision board is awesome, and it's one way to do a vision. But in my vision workshop, I don't concentrate so much on the vision board, because a lot of people know that practice. That's one way that you can take what you learn in the vision workshop with me, and you can, of course, apply it to doing a vision board. But there's also just other things that you can do. Basically, there's 3 aspects to defining your vision or creating your vision. And the first aspect would be blueprinting it or designing your vision, right? Creating your vision. The second step, or the second part of the process, is bridging the gap between your current, what you're currently doing, and the vision you have for yourself. And then the third step is becoming your vision, which basically means that now you are living your life, even as you're designing and you're bridging, you're sort of becoming, in the sense that you're sort of doing the third stage too, because you're living your life now as though you've already reached your vision. But the becoming piece, the third part of it, is that you now, after you design and bridge the gap, you now become your vision, and you're living your life that you have designed for yourself. And the nice thing is your vision ebbs and flows, and it changes even through the process of working with me, let's say on a vision and on a dream, building a life you love. You will find that your vision is going to change throughout the process.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for sharing your vulnerability, sharing your passion, sharing your self-care, and sharing how we can all develop a vision. Now, Sharon obviously is an expert in that. We will have information on how to contact her. And thank you so much for sharing, Sharon.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Jody. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and I appreciate it very much.